Okay, so like right now, just so you know, I am jumping full force out there with new career. I took a few years off. Well, I took 6 years off back in a few years back. And after having a pretty strong career for many years, luckily I did very well and I made good money, and I saved a lot of money. And I'm not afraid to spend it. So I walked away from my job and I just traveled. And, that was when I was going through a lot when I was married, and getting divorced and all that. But I stayed in that same lifestyle for a while, just teaching yoga. And I really had to get used to slowing down, and being okay with some days doing nothing and not accomplishing things and not being busy. And it was really hard. It was really different for me. And at first it was hard because I always felt like, almost embarrassed to say, what am I doing during the day? Oh, nothing, just hanging out, Now I'm not embarrassed at all. But at first it took a little bit to get used to that. But one thing that changed for me during that time period when I wasn't rushing off to work, because my whole life I always worked a lot. I always took breaks though. It's one thing I really do believe in. Americans don't necessarily believe in taking breaks or sabbaticals or anything. They just don't, they, oh my God, if I take a few weeks off of work and if I don't get paid, oh my God, they just feel like they're so behind. I don't really understand their thinking, but that is how a lot of people think. So I never did think that way. So even when I was working a lot, I would always take breaks, because I was in the timeshare business, sales, which is pretty hardcore, So I would take like a year off and maybe just waitress or bartend, and not work a lot during that year. And then I'd go back to work. I did that often when I was raising my daughter. I was a single mom at the time. So believe me, I had a lot of bills, I had stress, I had responsibilities, but I still really believed in breaks and not having to always have everything be about making money. I always really believed in life balance. It's the one thing that, when I was a manager and we would do goals at work and they're like, what's your yearly goals? What's your 5-year goal? Blah, blah, blah. What was at the top of my list every time, which was never on the top of any other manager or any other, person in my meetings. The top of my list was always life balance, life work balance. Like I wanted to be a great mother, and I also wanted to be a career woman, and I also wanted balance in my life. To me, that was just the most important thing. So I was always striving for that, And believe me, sometimes it's like really hard, especially when everybody around you is so like, oh. I remember when I was working, I was a manager and we worked a lot of hours, and I had other managers